Hi everyone, thank you very much for coming to this presentation. Konstantin already asked who's who, so I see basically more or less 1/3 is about freelancers and 2/3 coming from LSPs, is that correct? Allow me to introduce myself, although Konstantin already has. I am the business partner group co-director at Moravia. It's a nice long title, I know. What it actually means is that I'm one of the directors of the sourcing organization within Moravia. I will start with a little introduction of Moravia itself. The agenda will be talk about Moravia, we'll talk about the potato, and from drop to drip. We'll talk talent, and there's big lag with the remote control. We're going to be talking about managing talents, and we're going to talk about trends and challenges and some case studies as well related to talent management. Please, Konstantin. About Moravia. This is our Chief Executive Officer, Tomáš Kratochvíl. He's Czech, and he's Czech because Brno is the home of Moravia. Brno in Czech Republic. Moravia has grown from Brno. Moravia has established first offices in Slovakia, Poland, and Hungary. And then the Polish and the Slovakian offices were closed at first. The Hungarian office is still very much operational. But by now, we also have offices in Nanjing, China, in Rosario, Argentina. We have offices in the United States. We have office in Dublin. We have sales in Germany. We're really talking about a worldwide organization. We're delivering 24 hours coverage. And I will talk about that later, what that actually means. The flexible thinking and reliable delivery is what we believe is our mission, is our best strength. This is our core competence. We accompany clients on their journey to global markets by being endlessly flexible in thinking and consistently reliable in delivery. Every single one of those words is key. This was identified through a remarketing and rebranding campaign done earlier this year for Moravia. And our CEO is very keen on delivering this message internally and externally as well. Jeff Guillaume is our Chief Operations Officer. He's actually my direct superior as well. His words are, this is a people business. That's why we're here. That's why I'm talking. That's why you're sitting at this presentation. We want the people connection. We want to be able to communicate. We want you to be able to communicate with us. Our people's long-term commitment to clients makes us different. Who are the people? Am I? Of course, I am Moravia personnel. Hanna Mendezova is sitting here. Also, she's a member of the business partner group in Moravia. But the people is not only me, not only Jeff, not only Hanna, but every single one of you who is cooperating with Moravia or potentially cooperating with Moravia. Okay, something that Moravia is very proud of, the heritage. Moravia started in 1990, and soon enough Moravia became one of the most trusted vendors of Microsoft. In 2011, for the performance of 2011, Moravia was awarded the Microsoft Preferred Supplier Program Quality Excellence Award. We delivered to Microsoft. Microsoft appreciates it. Microsoft appreciates the reliability and the flexible thinking. This is where Moravia stands out. We do have 100 product launches, 100+ languages that we deliver worldwide, 24-hour coverage, and we have consistent service with excellent and efficiencies. So we've been around for 20 years. We have a reputation of reliability and linguistic excellence, but we also have something more, actually, more connected to talent management. We have a culture that is much appreciated both on client end and both on vendor and freelancer end. This is why I wanted to show the video. That was not successful so far, but I would love you to see how Moravia works. The video was made in actual Moravia offices with actual Moravia personnel. Some of you actually have been to the Moravia Partner Summit this year or 4 years ago. Those people would actually have seen Moravia premises as well, perhaps. They could also tell you about what a friendly, what a professional, and what an almost family-like collaborative environment Moravia is providing to its employees. This is again a note on the Quality Excellence Award awarded by Microsoft, as Moravia being the main contributor to Microsoft's delivery to its global customers. What is very important to say is Moravia is an MLV. There are many MLVs worldwide. We're number 17. Konstantin already said that. According to the common sense advisory boards. However, we are organically grown. I know it's very funny, it's usually associated with bio, vegetables, and fruits. But what is actually meant here is that for Moravia, there have been no acquisitions. Every single office that Moravia has, every single personnel was hired by Moravia, was established by Moravia originally. Whereas other MLVs follow a different growth pattern, Moravia believes in organic growth because this is how we can maintain our unique and unified culture. It is a people's business. We understand all aspects of it. Talent management is a big part of it. And again, flexible thinking, reliable delivery, this is who we are. Our mission is to accompany our clients on their journey to the global markets by being endlessly flexible and consistently reliable. There are many things here that are being said. We're talking about clients on the global markets. That means we're not only a top MLV, but our clients are actual global leaders or aspirants to become global leaders. We are there to accompany them on this journey, and our talents, I will explain who talents actually are. Our talents are there to help clients on this journey. Who the clients are for our talents? Well, it's Moravia and it's Moravia's clients at the same time. Some numbers just to bore you a little bit. We are talking about $50+ million revenues. Actually, we're closer to 70, as far as I know, for this year. Prediction, obviously. We are delivering 100+ languages. We have more than 5,000 leads and contacts. Actively, we're using approximately 1,000. The growth is, we're expecting 10,000 partners by the end of the year in our database. We do have about 500 people, about the same number of people that are actually present here. The same number of people work for Moravia worldwide. The main partner companies that we have is around 250. Not all of them are strategic partners. Some of them are strategic partners. Some of them are premium vendors. I just heard yesterday during a conversation that the popular opinion in Russia is that in the West, life is easy in the linguistic industry. Well, allow me to refute that. For one, everybody's aware of this. Financial pressure is constant from client side. Clients are becoming procurement centers instead of localization service buyers. That means we're facing people when we're selling services who are looking at different aspects than a linguist would actually expect. The content is changing. Evaluation is changing with it. That means when we are delivering to the clients, then when they are checking the quality, they don't care much about the actual linguistic quality assessment numbers. It's not statistics anymore. They actually go to the market and check with the people who are using. Some of our clients call it the LQG. Other clients have different names for it, but it's actually the end client, the final customer of our clients who will be assessing the quality. This is where the market is heading. The content is becoming from TP, we're doing machine translation plus post-editing. We're transferring from IT to life sciences. Life sciences is very much growing, also in Russia. We're transferring from UI, UA to marketing materials and to transcreation. Obviously, for marketing translations and for transcreation, it is very hard to assess it simply with one quality number. We need to make sure that actually the people who are doing the transcreation or the marketing, they are users who understand the product. And also, Moravia is an MLV. That means Moravia is handling a lot of languages, even for one single client. But when Moravia is being evaluated, one language that would be, for example, Russian or Tatar or Kazakh, doesn't matter which one failing language in a large project impacts the overall performance. This is where, for Moravia, it's hard. It differently impacts, of course, our vendors, be it freelancers or LSPs. This is the world as we see it. It used to be this nice round globe, one big project coming from a client, very well defined, nice and round, lots of languages in it, and this is how it is now. Whoops. There are small projects, many of them, with a variety of languages. Projects are not handed off at the same time for different languages, even though it's the same product, the same client. We have small drops up to, as was said before, few words, few sentences, up to tens of thousands of words within the same product again. Previously, with the big nice globe of one project, there was also a square with it. The client came to us and said, hey, we would like you to translate this project for us. This is the product. Here's the user guide how to do it. Here's your style guide. Here's your glossary. Here's your terminology. Here's the TM. Here's the tool. Just go ahead and do it. Now, this is the favorite allegory of Jeff Guillaume, our chief operating officer, is the potato. There are no more squares anymore coming from the clients. It's something round, roundish. It has all sorts of inconsistencies on it, and just thrown over the wall from the customer, and we try to make it back into this kind of square so we can hand it off to you guys so you can actually work on the project. This is very tough, obviously. Have you ever tried to make a square or a cube from a potato? How much do you lose? The customer doesn't want to lose anything. They want to have the square back. They give us a potato, they don't know about it, but they want a square handed back. So what does Moravia do? To achieve our mission, we do three things. We listen, we understand, and we respond. Sounds simple, right? Well, we need to listen to the client, we need to be able to reach out to the client, get the information from them that we need to understand, translate into a square, and we need to respond to it. Be it delivery, be it consultancy, be it thought leadership, and of course, Moravia's clients are also Moravia's partners' clients, but Moravia is a client to Moravia's partners. Therefore, Moravia requires exactly the same from its flexible and reliable clients. That is, do the right thing right at the right time. This is talent management. Who's actually talent? Let's try to define that. I put up a sentence here, very arguable, obviously. But a talent is a contributor to client satisfaction, offering and performing value-added services. Emphasis on value-added service. As long as somebody is performing on a project but is not adding any value, copying a file from one FTP folder to another FTP folder, is that added value? I don't think so. The client definitely doesn't think so. Is that a talent? We need brains, not heads. Is the quality and not the quantity. And of course, everybody knows the almighty triangle: time, cost, quality. It has been said today that time is becoming increasingly important to clients, especially in the IT industry, where time is basically becoming a deciding factor for clients if they want a project translator or not. If you can do it by tomorrow, oh no, not tomorrow. If you can do it in 6 hours, let's do this. If you can't, forget it. There's no more time for the content to be translated and put out there as a product or as localized content for the people. Otherwise, nobody will be interested in it. Nobody will read it. There's no point in translating it. So who's a talent? There are, of course, lots of them, right? Most of you are probably translators, revisers, reviewers, perhaps a few copywriters. Any copywriters here? Transcreators? Anybody doing editing? Not the linguistic editing. No, 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 no. This is something totally else. This is not the right word for it, but the fact is that the clients also don't have a word for it. This is when content is being created by end users of a product, let's say a website. The clients, the customers, they put blog posts. And there's a need for an editor who will collect these blog posts, put it into a consistent marketing transcreation short message that is available for other people viewing that website. This is editing content into one small portion of text that actually delivers the customer's expectations. So this is beyond transcreation. There's also voice talents and community moderators and, well, it doesn't matter if you're a freelancer or LSP, but I have forgotten something. This list is not wonderful as just individuals, but everybody at an LSP is actually a talent or can be a talent. We're talking account managers. If somebody comes to me, being a buyer of services, as a supplier, sourcing organization of Moravia, I will want to know that there's a person within your organization who can sell those services, who knows what your company is capable of selling. I want to know what you can offer to Moravia. Tell me now. Tell me tomorrow. Tell me when you're going to tell me. PMs, they are the ones who are usually communicating with Moravia PMs, right? They're also talents. We need to make sure that those PMs are in place, they understand the job, they understand the work, they are not only delivering a file that has been translated by somebody in the company or even a freelancer of our vendors, but they actually provide added value to it. How about the engineers or the vendor managers? Obviously, they're also talents. How close these talents can be connected with an MLV like Moravia? That's a very good question, because it's a very, very long supply chain, actually. If you consider, from a freelancer, it will go probably, also I think it was Doug who put up the value chain. From a freelancer, let's go to a local agency who will sell the services to the SLV, who will sell the services to the MLV, who will sell the services to the client, who will sell the product to his customers. We're talking 6 steps. But these people need to have a relationship. These are 5 aspects of what usually needs to be managed throughout any project. People, process, technology, metrics, relationships. I'm talking people and I'm talking relationships. The middle 3, that's something different. In fact, this is why I'm a co-director and not a director. There are 2 directors from Moravia BPG because there's one director, co-director, who's taking care of process, technology, and metrics, and there's one who's taking care of people and relationships. That's how important this is. Moravia actually decided to put a person responsible for this into the sourcing organization. So who is doing the management of talents? Well, Moravia BPG, Business Partner Group, that involves resource coordinators, that includes business partner managers, that includes consultants, that includes outsourced recruiters. We are actually a sales-driven broker of value-added services. Customized, multilingual, lingua-aware solutions is what we provide. Multilingual, of course, that's understandable. Lingua-aware, that's something new, isn't it? We're not talking translation, we're not talking transliteration, something that is connected to language. For example, just the editing process on a blogging website is something similar. It's actually not really translation. You're using the same language, but it's still lingua-aware, it's language connected. We call it Moravia Managed Services. We want you to be a part of it. That's why we're here, actually. We have our booth downstairs. We'd love you to be a part of it. We listen to our clients, advise them as experts, design the solutions, and deliver on them reliably. And of course, everything outside traditional localization is also within Moravia's profile. In fact, that is becoming increasingly a revenue-generating activity. So let's talk talent. This is 2008. Moravia Partner Summit. This is the Moravia logo, at least the M. It looks like it's 2 people holding hands under a big umbrella, right? That's where we were in 2008. Moravia was the umbrella who was holding its back towards the clients and the linguistic service providers and the free source coordinators. They came to the Partner Summit and they were under Moravia's back. This is not a very good quality. Moravia Partner Summit 2012. This is being protected. This is collaborating. This is where everybody in a flat organization is connected to everyone. We're flat, fast, reliable. We're a closed circle. This is also a closed circle, but there's so many tools here. Everybody's capable of doing something. The corkscrew you can't cut with a knife, you definitely won't be able to unscrew screw. But if you have your Swiss knife, then you're very happy. This is Moravia, the Swiss knife. And you, everybody sitting here and more, the whole supply chain organization of Moravia, those are all the little dots, they're connected. Case studies. I prepared 2 case studies. One of them is, let's say, CIS multilingual projects. They're large ones. Consider hundreds of thousands of words. We're talking about the long value chain before. What is the issue with CIS multilingual projects from Moravia's perspective? One of them is obviously traceability. When we have a 5-step long value chain coming to Moravia, how do we know who's doing what? Well, Moravia is trying to, of course, come up with a response. Not only trying, we have a response that's called Moravia Symphony. Moravia Symphony is Moravia's internal tracking tool. Some of you are probably already aware of it and using it, obviously. That was a version that was created specifically for one client. It actually has been rolled out. I think the press release was made this week. That Moravia Symphony tool, project tracking and file management tool that can connect to individual resources all the way to translator side, no matter how deep the value chain is, has been rolled out to two key clients of Moravia plus several middle-sized clients. However, it doesn't really solve the overlong supply chain because as long as everything is working, right? But what happens when the translator here in Tatarstan, for example, is facing an issue? What can Moravia do? What can a tool do? Symphony, nothing. We're sitting there in Brno, we're using our tools, we're seeing that, well, the project is not coming. What to do? Oh, we need to contact our SLV. Oh, the SLV needs to contact the vendor. Oh, the vendor needs to contact the individual resource. And then 2 days are passed, the project is long gone. We're talking literally 24-hour TAT project. This is why the tool was created, because there is no other way of handling it than automating the processes. So, where's the actual value added? There are, again, 3 steps in between the translator and Moravia is supposed to be delivering back to the client. We're talking one language, and of course Moravia is handling dozens. The solution is business models development. And specifically, we also have answers for this. No, we have proposals for this, and we would like to discuss it with you, all of you. Case studies 2, this is the lingua-aware services rather. Third-party LQA, language moderation, transcreation, on-site testing, editing, ringing a bell. Anybody doing, other than third-party LQA, anybody doing language moderation, transcreation, on-site testing, much of it? Well, in CIS, this is actually more challenging than we think, because for most of the countries, actually, that Moravia works with, and that basically means all, okay, there are some black patches probably oh, I should not have said that. There are some undiscovered patches in Africa still. Terribly sorry for the pun, it was not intended. In all countries, it's very easy to identify SLVs and go to them, well, we have a marketing content that needs to be translated. Why don't you find the right resource? They come back to us and say, hey, here's the profile. This is my translator. But then when we get to the point of, well, language moderation for Kyrgyz, how do I find a person like that? Me from Brno, very hard, obviously. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to my flexible and reliable partner, my SLV, who's probably somewhere in Russia actually, right? But the Russian SLV probably doesn't have a Kyrgyz translator on board, let alone a transcreator. So what is the Russian SLV going to do? Well, the Russian SLV is going to, well, either has a vendor somewhere in Kyrgyzstan, or doesn't. Most likely doesn't. In Tatarstan, it has been said also there are no presence from any of the Russian SLVs. So what's going to happen? The SLV is going to do a web search, but since the SLV is closer to those Slavic languages or Turkic languages than Moravia is, we're going to rely on that SLV to find the right person. And then it turns out that the right person is in Canada. So how's the translation team that our vendor is going to use for the project going to be hooked up with the language moderator who is in Canada? That's a mystery, right? But that's the only person. Oh, and of course triple the price because, well, in Canada obviously somebody has to make a living. As also has been said before, I think, I don't know, it was probably Bob saying it, Doug or Bob, I'm not sure, that translators need to think about, other than word rates, they need to think about how much money they make for a living simply. Pricing is not just a matter of word rates, right, or hourly rates. You need to make sure that you get the products, you get the projects, and you make a living from it. Well, the language moderator is one single person, right? He has to make sure that he makes a living. If he's in Canada, or in France, or in Switzerland, well, that's the kind of living that he will want to make. Transcreation, same thing. There's a big problem. Should the translator be an end client of the product, actually? Because a transcreator needs to understand the product just as deep as any other customer, potential customer of the product that is being rolled out to, right? So we're going to have to say that the transcreator or the language moderator needs to be an avid user of the specific product that is being translated at the moment. Now, can you imagine that, I don't know, let's talk of clients in United States, and I'm not saying they're Moravia clients, Let's say Yahoo. What is Yahoo going to do? Well, Yahoo's going to say, well, I don't know if I want to go to the Kyrgyz market. How do I find out? Well, they're going to come to Moravia. We're going to be able to deliver it because we know that we can rely on our Russian SLVs to find the right people, right? These trans creators. But is anybody going to use the product in Kyrgyzstan or Tatarstan? To what extent? How to get that information from the customer? Let's go back and listen. Does the customer understand what they're getting into when they're entering a market? This is where Moravia needs to be able to advise, to consult, to provide a thought leadership in directing the customer to what trans creation will actually mean, to understand the market that the product will be delivered to. Now in this, very specifically in Russia, Moravia doesn't have Russia presence, as a matter of fact. This is where Moravia will need to rely on you sitting here or at this conference. And again, we're talking about the very specific lingua-aware services, right? Where we're not talking about LQA results anymore. How do you put a percentage on trans creation, on on-site testing? Somebody needs to be sent to an office of our medical vendor in Denver. And they need to test the very specific medical device right there on spot. How do you put a QA result on that? You don't. Quality is measured somehow completely differently. The client will perceive the cooperation and collaboration of the resource with the client directly, and they will come back to Moravia and say, hey, your resource is not performing, or better than that, they will come and say, well, your resource is excellent, thank you very much, bring on more. We need to make sure that our vendors and our partners that are capable of delivering these talents to us. This is called right sourcing. Moravia doesn't like to outsource. That time is gone. That was the time of the big projects coming with a little square, right? And Moravia is actually still delivering some languages directly, but most of the languages Moravia doesn't. We give it to somebody else. That used to be outsourcing. Now we're talking right sourcing. We're talking a different industry even. Transcreation, language moderation, on-site testing, editing. Are we prepared for that? Is the Russian SLV and freelancer market ready to deliver to clients via Moravia? This is why I'm here to find out. A couple of business model solutions that have been proposing at Moravia Partner Summit this year in 2012. Well, TP is that is I have to. Jeff Guillaume, our Chief Operating Officer, that's next to the potato, his next favorite thing. TP is that, now what? And TP is that means that, well, client depends on us to deliver TP because that is what is being sold to them. This is how they understand. They should buy TP because that means 2 pairs of eyes, right? At least, maybe even 3. And there's a QA on it, maybe even 4 pairs of eyes. Is it? Is really TEP that many people working on one project? Do we want that many people working on one project? What are we doing with the time? I have a project for you, 500 words, deliver it in 24 hours. Oh yeah, of course there's an evening and a nighttime in that. Are you going to find the person to do that? And we're beyond that actually. We have requests coming from our clients in US who are going to say, well, 2 hours please, 3. And we're going 20, 30 words. TP is dead. It's very hard to deliver TP if things are not coming as squares, but they are coming as potatoes. We're talking about 50, 60% of the information available from the client. We can't go back to the client and ask for more information because already an hour or 2 is passed. Whoops, deadline gone. This is where we need the solutions. Proximity. Can we consider LSPs, freelancers, consultants on Russian market to be the outstretched arm of Moravia's sourcing organization? Because that's what we need. We need a fast, flat, reliable value chain. A supply chain that is capable of delivering to the client on time. Because if we don't, the client will not want the translation. It's not that we're going to get penalized. We can say, oh, sorry, no. Traceability. Named resources, dedicated resources. This is where Moravia Symphony comes in. We're going to say, well, we need to know that your person is called PA, this is the email address, he's the only person who can log into the system and can deliver the translation. We need those resources, those talents verified. We need to have their profiles, we need to have their CVs, we need to know your opinion about them, your past history with them. And we need to be able to say, yes, they are going to be a perfect suit of talent for our projects towards our clients. Even more than that, the clients even will come to us and say, yes, that person is a good person to work with us, that person is not a good person, please find another one. This is happening every single day. Motivation. The talents who are working for Moravia, they're not employees of Moravia. Of course, there is such a thing as employee value proposition. Everybody who has worked in HR or has people management experience knows this. Is there such a thing as talent value proposition? Definitely is. But Russian market is specific. CIS market is specific. Let's create the talent value proposition suited to the market. That's how we'll be successful together. Governance. We're talking trends creators, on-site testers, individuals, even if they're individual freelancers or individuals working for an LSP. We need to have some governance program for them. We need to be able to have monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, yearly, whatever, meetings, discussions, evaluations. Do we? Are we going to spend that much time on one person who is generating $10,000 of revenue? Good question again. And who's going to do it? Is it Moravia? Is it the client? Is it the SLV? Moravia. Flexible thinking, reliable delivery. We need you to help our clients to get to the global market. Flexibly and reliably. Thank you very much.
Попробуем подвести итог и такую рекапитуляцию того, что было сказано. Laszlo ищет в России, особенно в регионах, где мы сейчас находимся, в Казани, команды переводчиков, бюро переводов, которые могут работать очень быстро и использовать те инструменты, которые предлагает компания Laszlo Moravia для управления проектами. Correct.
This is more or less correct, yes. This is one of the purposes.
Сегодня мы увидели то, что Моравии нужны новые услуги, которые не все в зале могут предложить. Высококачественное редактирование, transcreation, on-site editing. Correct. Мы также увидели, что в работе Моравии фокус смещается с локализации программного обеспечения на отрасль life sciences, то есть на медицина, фармацевтическая косметика. Эти тематики становятся более востребованными.
This is also, of course, the life sciences is actually the second largest domain for Moravia that we work in, yes. IT is still by far the first.
Moravia заказывает в России очень много. Я так понимаю, что все больше. Если у них было 50 миллионов, а теперь уже 70 в этом году, часть этих денег идет российским бюро переводов. И я думаю, что главным итогом послания Laszlo может звучать фраза «адаптируйтесь под эти новые требования, если вы хотите работать с ними». Так?
Exactly. We actually want to buy your services. That's the bottom line. The services that have been described in the way they have been, flexibly, reliably, traceably, from how to maintain closeness from a distance.
Пока немногие в зале могут оказать эти услуги, это шанс для более активных и более быстрых компаний, которых устраивают расценки, в котором работает Moravia. Laszlo, по каким расценкам сейчас вы работаете, может быть, вилка с российскими бюро переводов? Это секрет?
To tell the actual buy rates that we experience on the Russian market? I'm terribly sorry, I may not be able to do that. What we are talking about, of course, there is a constant price pressure, it's true. However, our vendors will be able to confirm that, well, in actually probably the past couple of years, this may not have been surfacing that much. What we're rather trying to do in Moravia is to add more value services. That means we're not expecting probably a severe price drop. Instead, what clients are expecting from us is that in the same price, a different range of services is needed. This is what will be expected from customers and our partners as well.
Другими словами, он говорит, что, видимо, надо договариваться, так? This is negotiable.
Prices are always negotiable, of course.
Ну, тогда немножко забегая.
But I'm terribly sorry, as was said before, rates are not always the issue. Actually, more often than not, they're not the issue.
Забегая вперед, озвучу некоторые цифры. Мы знаем, что в Москве средние расценки бюро переводов сейчас составляют порядка 600 рублей за страницу. Ну, в Москве расценки бюро переводов составляют порядка 600 рублей за страницу. Хорошие расценки, по которым бюро переводов любит работать. Но какие вы считаете? 300-400 в Москве? Ну не все. Я знаю, что здесь есть бюро, которые работают по более высоким. Здесь, в Татарстане, средняя расценка бюро переводов, судя по тем цифрам, которые я получил несколько дней назад в ходе подготовки к форуму, это 285 рублей за страницу текста с английского на русский. На русский и татарский. В общем-то, видимо, за этим Laszlo и приехал, что в регионах есть еще возможность, здесь таланты стоят дешевле.
Могу я задать вопрос на русском языке?
Да,
мне так будет удобно. Можно открыть слайд Case Study 2. Вопрос по качеству. Там было такое выражение, что качество – это не только хороший результат LQA. LQA, если я правильно понимаю, это Language Quality Assurance. Yeah.
Assessment.
Вы имеете в виду качество услуги или качество продукта?
I'm terribly sorry, I probably should have defined. LQ is actually the process when a senior reviewer goes through the translated file and will mark the actual errors in the file, list all of them, and give a quantitative evaluation of the translation.
Мне не совсем понятно, почему качество нельзя измерить. То есть или здесь имеется в виду как раз то, что добавляется к качеству. Мне не совсем понятно, почему качество нельзя измерить, если есть методика, которая измеряет качество, и почему с помощью этой методики нельзя измерить качество.
The quality of language moderation or transcreation?
Качество перевода, качество продукта, который получает заказчик.
If we go back to what I was saying, that in the past it used to be whatever it used to be, the big round globe with one single project coming in, well-defined deadlines, well-defined tools, well-defined information behind it, and we just deliver a file back to the customer, that's what can be evaluated and is being evaluated. This has not disappeared from the market. Do not misunderstand, please. Of course not. What I'm saying is that these kind of jobs where the LQA result as we know it is not anymore a useful metric.
Понятно, спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
Essentially, I'm not familiar with the term transcreation because I'm new to the sector, and I was just wondering if you could elucidate what that is.
Transcreation would be a translation job where the actual marketing message is delivered more than an accurate translation of the original source. When we're talking about actual adaptation, not only culture-wise, but also the marketing and branding elements of the client are implemented into the translation as well.
Если сейчас не обсуждать ситуации, когда вам необходимо изготовить продукт в течение 2-3 часов по требованию клиента, вот если мы эти ситуации оставим в стороне, вы по-прежнему считаете, что TEP is dead now?
No, I don't think that TEP is dead, but the thing with TEP is that it's very much, well, it's not impossible to actually control it. Many of our clients come to us and say, well, they need to make sure that there are at least 2 pairs of eyes working on their files. They will actually want to have, for example, our medical clients will come to us and say, hey, I need a certificate of accuracy. From whom? From Moravia. Then what is Moravia going to do? Well, Moravia is going to ask the translator, and is going to ask the reviser, editor, proofreader to also sign the certificate of accuracy. And is also going to ask the reviewer who's going to do the LQA to sign the certificate of accuracy. So if you deliver TP, then you basically take the potato, throw it into the box. This is the LSB black box, because Moravia doesn't have a visibility into it. I don't know who you're actually using on the project, right? You may even send me the CV or a profile of the translator that you would suggest. Me, on the other hand, the translation is starting tomorrow. There's no way for me to say that you will have that resource available. Perhaps even for you, it's impossible to say if your resource will be available tomorrow, right? So if the customer asks me to sign a certificate of accuracy, I'm going to ask your resource to sign the certificate of accuracy. Then I will know who the resource is. Then what are we talking about TP? Are you capable of doing that? Are you capable of actually telling me who the resource is who's working on the files? Both the translator, the editor, proofreader? Are you willing to do that? This is also a business model.
Well, it depends on the situation.
The situation is that it's client requirement. The same as with the raise pressure. It's not Moravia who's pushing for rates. It's the clients who are perceiving the market differently. It's the clients, as was also, it was Bob who was showing the nice curve of the volumes and the actual value of it. You're going to say as volumes are increasing, you're going to say that the value of the translation is decreasing. And the content is booming. It is worldwide. We're experiencing that customers are selecting or trying to select which content to localize or translate or not. And they're going to make a cut somewhere, right? And they're going to say, well, this is the rate until I actually want an MLV to produce me translations. Above that, sorry, I either don't want it or I'm going to have a raw translation only or even an MT.
The business model which you are promoting, which you are offering, means that you want to know who exactly will be doing the job. So I wanted to ask a question. It is not always possible to control if the person whom you want to do the job is available when you send a 1 hour job, a 2 hour job, something like that.
Of course.
And the second part of the question is how can you assure the quality if the job should be delivered within an hour, even if it is a 150 words job? There is simply no time to check. It may happen that there is simply no time to check the quality.
This is, of course, true that if we're talking about 2-3 hours delivery times, obviously it's not the majority of the case. But if this happens, then the client's expectations are also different. This is where Moravia, as the consultant and the thought leader, is able to reach out to the client and tell them, well, yes, we can do this. We'll find you the resource who will be able to translate you 150 words within 2 hours, of course. I mean, anybody can do that, right? Literally. Just look at the productivities, that's easy.
Finding a resource may take the same time as doing the job.
Well, this is when I was
not more.
This is when I was talking about. Well, Moravia's concept is that SLVs are rather an outstretched arm of the supply chain than a distant black box where I throw a potato in and I take a square back. You are the people who can manage the pool of translators who are approved by either Moravia or the client, depends on how deep the cooperation is. You have a pool of resources. I need to make sure that the resources are scalable and they're available. If it means that you need to have 3 resources so that, yes, it's true, 3 resources need to be qualified.
Я предлагаю закончить на выводе о том, что работы очень много. Очень много. Если выстроить такую бизнес-модель, которая встроится в современные требования. Потому что Moravia, посмотрите, какие усилия прикладывает для того, чтобы обеспечить качество на дальнем конце цепочки. Они разрабатывают специальное программное обеспечение, новые методики. Возможно, и российским компаниям тоже стоит брать с них пример. Клиенты поджимают Moravia, она придумывает, как ужаться. Это то,
I'm,
что...
I'm not blaming clients, so no, don't take it that way, please.
И это то, что Laszlo называет flexible.
Exactly. Thank you very much.